I'm not going to believe that this is a major concern because he did have a physical. It was what delayed his press conference, along with some travel challenges on Friday. But the bottom line is, I expect him to play. And I'm going to lean on the same word that Jen did, may, because this also paints a picture of him being a tough guy who's going to play through an inconvenient injury. So I will be surprised if number one is not on the field for game number one.
Jason, I can't get out of my head though that there's something more to this.
More to what?
Dallas giving him away. No one really else being a serious contender, were there? I mean,
yeah, that part. The second part of that, Chewy, I don't know. I don't know if there were other teams that called or not. I agree with you that it just feels like there's, what everybody should be interested in this guy, right?
Yeah.
And to your point about other teams, like if I'm Jerry, as much as I want to stop the run, and as much as I wanted Kenny Clark, there have to be other defensive tackles that could have been part of a trade. So, and I would want him like Ted with Brett Favre in 2008. I would want him as far away from me as possible, not only outside of my conference, but outside of my schedule, so I don't have to play him in week 4. So yeah, there's been this, and I hate being this guy, but I feel like I'm always this guy. So I'm glad you brought this up. But I don't want to be the party pooper.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that brings up, well, I'm wondering about this and I'm wondering about that. So I've let the euphoria ride through the last several days. But I do think that that's a completely reasonable question for you to ask. And, the fact that he's shot to the top of the odds for Defensive Player of the Year and the Packers Super Bowl odds have changed and everything else. Again, I'm not a bookmaker, but I do feel like those types of things, like they're great at lines, right? I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they always seem to nail the lines that make it very difficult for you to win your bet. But when it comes to those types of things, like, who the heck knows whether or not he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year in the Packers system? Mm-hmm. That's just to get people betting on it. So I don't know what to make of this. I'm very eager to see where this journey takes this team now, especially with him on the team. But I can tell you this, there was a palpable excitement and giddiness about him throughout that building. I mean, the players, the equipment staff, like everybody's really excited to have him. But yeah, I think now that kind of the furor has gone down a little bit, I think that's a reasonable question. I mean, there are people that say he's not great in the locker room, right? That he's a me guy and all this stuff. Yeah. So again, I don't know if that's how he's going to be in this locker room, but I don't think you're out of line to wonder that aloud.
Our conversations with Jason Wilde brought to you by Lakeland Supply. They're in business to make your business better. Set up a free packaging and supply chain assessment at lakelandsupply.com. Away from the Micah Parsons and all that excitement, we got an announcement, Jason. It didn't come from Goody. It didn't come from Matt LaFleur. No, Rasheed Walker told us he is starting at left tackle week 1. Does that mean he won that job? Does that mean that the back of Aaron Banks isn't good enough and they need Jordan Morgan to start at left guard? Do we know what it means for Jordan Morgan if Walker's starting at left tackle?
Yeah, I think it means he's the sixth man. I talked to Aaron Banks yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I'm losing track of the days at the breakneck pace that we're going.
We haven't even gotten to week 1, Jason. Come on, man.
I know, exactly. Well, with the holiday and then LaFleur not talking and then a nighttime, like Friday news dumps, we all know what those are. It's amazing to me that they ended up having to have a Friday evening press conference for the biggest news they've had in terms of an acquisition since in the last 30 years. But he said his back. He practiced yesterday. He's practiced 3 straight days now. in terms of their practices. So I don't think this is Jordan Morgan didn't get the left tackle job because he's got to start at left guard. I think he's the sixth man. Now, I will say that either LaFleur didn't tell Sheeto that he didn't want this out there and he wanted to keep the Lions guessing, or Sheeto was just so excited that he's keeping his starting job that he couldn't keep it inside. But, yeah, somebody asked him yesterday. We were talking a lot about Parsons with him because they were college teammates, obviously. And we got to the end of the conversation, and somebody said, are you starting at left tackle? And he said, yes. And then there was kind of this palpable surprise. Oh, okay, I guess you're just going to tell us. And then, how do you feel about that? And he said, I feel like it's my job. And in fairness to him, I don't have a problem with him putting that out there, and I don't have a problem saying that. Like, he was having a really good camp. He had the groin injury. We got to see some of Jordan Morgan, which is a good thing. But this always, in my opinion, was what made more sense. Nothing against Jordan Morgan. I know he wants to be the left tackle. He'll be the left tackle next year when Lord knows they don't have that much money anymore to be signing everybody. So I assume that the Parsons deal is one of the casualties of that. Was any hope at all of them keeping his college teammate on the roster? So he'll be the guy next year. And for now, Jordan Morgan's going to be the sixth man, and if anybody goes down, he's going to be the first one off the bench.
Jason, before we let you go, there are a lot of concerns. That might be too strong. There are a lot of questions about replacing Kenny Clark, whether that is, what he does on the field, his production, but also his leadership in the locker room. And I don't know how much that has been talked about, but you're in that locker room pretty regularly. Kenny Clark was a pretty significant leader for that team, right? Mm-hmm. How do you see it being replaced?
Yeah, I actually was working on that story for today for tomorrow because I went and talked to Colby Wooden. I talked to Carl Brooks. I talked to Nazir Stackhouse because that's the flip side of this story, right? With all the euphoria about getting Micah Parsons, there's a bunch of defensive tackles that are really bummed. I thought Colby Wooden was going to cry when I was talking to him. And at one point, I asked him, well, who's going to host your get-togethers? Because Kenny, all off season, if you guys remember this story, was having guys over to his house every couple of days to go over film and hang out and watch, the NBA finals and everything else. And Colby was like, we haven't figured that out yet. So the fact that he was the deal breaker in this deal, I found fascinating for the Cowboys. And more importantly, I just think that that's probably an under-discussed aspect to this story. So I talked to all those guys, and I joked with Carl Brooks. I said, I don't know, is Kenny going to have extra jerseys printed up for the Week 4 game? Because I know that there's about 4 or 5 guys that are going to want to do the jersey swap with him. They're going to want his Cowboys jersey. And Carl Brooks said, well, we'll see who he likes best, but I'm getting that jersey. So he is he is incredibly beloved with those guys. From a purely football perspective, they do have a lot of guys. They love Stackhouse. They think Brinson is going to be a good player for them. Wooden and Carl Brooks are going to get more opportunities. And then, by the way, they do have a first-round pick in Devontae Wyatt, who it's time for him to play at a higher level. So I think from just the football perspective, they feel like they've got the guys. But to your point, Jen, from the leadership and the guys, this is his 10th season. Still hasn't celebrated his 30th birthday yet. But I don't know if there was anyone in there. And he didn't do it vocally. It was total. He is the definition of lead by example. But he was the guy when it came to that kind of stuff in the locker room, and that is not easily replaced.
Well, and then I just think about Jordan Love and the way he presents himself, and I know that LaFleur has asked him to step into that leadership role and maybe be more vocal, but I think we know that that will be, challenging for Jordan, and he will work on it, I'm sure, and he will get better at it, but obviously different sides of the ball as well. But I'm just curious to see who will step up as a leader for this Packers team this year in the absence of Kenny Clark. Jason, good stuff. We really appreciate you hanging out with us. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Hey guys, it's Jen from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Thanks for watching our clip. I'm sure it was super informative and educational. I'm just kidding. I love those knuckleheads, and we do it live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get informed anytime we drop new content.